I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is it working now?
I think it is. Shaking their head now. Alrighty, so we'll get started with the police activity report. Any questions or comments? No? Alrighty. We'll move on with the DPW report. Terry's on vacation this week.
We're very fortunate to have you guys such a great year. Lots of projects that you showed us in our packet were fantastic.
Yeah, no, they've done it.
Really good.
Yeah, they've done a very good job with it. Well,
Just useful.
Want me to turn that one off?
I mean, if it gets sweltering hot, right?
Okay. Yeah.
no, the village liquor is 4th of July. I don't have any complaints at all. They're doing a wonderful job. And then they've been cleaning up on this building. And he, as he said in here, he has spoken already to a number of the contractors for the roof and getting their ideas and thoughts.
And they fixed the front of the library book depository.
Yes.
That looks good.
Yeah.
I have a question about the no parking sign that says 8 o'clock. And how did, over here it says no parking 8 to 6. How did they determine 8? I'm just curious, because like a lot of people come and eat dinner and stuff like that.
Over here?
Yeah.
I think it was just a determination. There was no study, there wasn't a committee.
Yeah.
But we've had problems with the neighbors.
Well, I'm talking about the time. I'm
We've had
wondering if we
problems.
should maybe bump it to 10 p.m. in the future versus 8. Simply because, you know, like you're coming to some fireworks. Or on the other hand, if we don't enforce it between 8 and 10, it doesn't matter. But
Chances are it won't get enforced all the time, and on situations like such as fireworks and pumpkin chunkin and the boat show and other things, very little gets enforced. So we're not going to. But we were having problems with.
oh no, I was
with the
just
neighbors.
asking about the time. That's all. Like,
Yeah, you can talk to him. Probably a dusk to dawn situation.
Thanks. No, he's doing a great job. Or they're doing a great job.
Yes, and we've looked at different paints to paint the outside, and the guys are really excited about fixing this up to the best of our ability without spending lots of money.
Are they going to try to paint it before the winter season?
Yes, I think, I don't think they did any power washing today, but once that is completed, then I think they are going to start painting in between. But cutting grass, edging, grass, takes the precedence over all of it. Any comments on the consent agenda?
Yeah, I do. So, hey Joanne,
Yeah.
why don't you join us and not worry about that? We have microphones. We'll just talk to them. We'll talk loud.
Actually, I think it's here.
I remember last time we got together that you said we were live with the cameras, and I went to look to see where it was and I couldn't find it. So where can we find it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Amanda is working that out.
So okay, so we're on the subject. When are we going to go live? We've invested the money in the cameras and we've been talking about it for 7 months.
We are tonight.
We are
And
tonight.
where can we find this?
Again, she's working it out with Chris. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be on YouTube. So,
It's going to go on YouTube at some point, which may be tomorrow. That just has to be taken care of, and then onto our website.
'Cause, okay, so I have an issue with the minutes that, that we talked about it for 7 months. I couldn't find it. So where can we find this?
It's going to go on YouTube at some point, which may be tomorrow. That just has to be taken care of, and then onto our website. Okay. So I have an issue with the minutes that
we page down to where it says deputy mayor. We held a
Where?
vote on the consent agenda, the draft meeting minutes.
Right, I understand that, but we're in the meeting.
Page 4 of 5. Page 4 of 5, last paragraph. Everybody find that?
Yep, go right ahead, sir.
Okay, so my recollection is there was a vote held, and there was a vote that passed by a 4-vote margin to send a letter to the merchants in the village. But I don't see that in the minutes here.
There wasn't a vote.
There wasn't a vote.
To send a letter to who?
The merchants in the village. We handed out a letter, we perused that letter, and we got a vote.
Yeah, I thought,
Well, you'd had a vote, and
No,
the
there
4 of you
wasn't a vote.
voted yes.
There wasn't a vote. A vote for a vote.
yeah, it was a 4-to-1 vote.
It was a 4-to-1 vote.
For the letter?
Yes.
Because we looked at the video to see if it was, Amanda looked at it, and there was nothing in the.
Excuse me, this is between the board.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to ask Amanda. I know nothing about this.
So let me interject here, Deputy. I was the one that told the staff not to write the letter. I have sent approximately 3 or 4 emails to the board suggesting we do it another way. And you keep pressing about the letter. So last week, I went down and I spoke to 3 to 4 owners downtown, and they all moved everything. I was downtown a couple of times over the weekend. All the sidewalks were clear. Now the staff reports to me, the board and I work together. Staff, trustees don't have any right to go to employees and tell them what to do. It's just not part of being a board member. So I was the one that did it, not the staff. I told
I
them.
didn't go to anyone and ask them to do anything.
You gave them the letter and
I
you said
emailed
here.
it to them.
Well, whether it was emailed
Okay.
and then you asked
So
them.
Mayor, let's go back and talk about the relationship of the board. There are 5 votes on this board. Each vote has its own weight, and it
Correct.
doesn't outweigh any other vote.
Correct.
Our impression, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, is that we voted to send a letter to the downtown merchants. Am I wrong?
Well, we won't even negate that,
Let me
okay?
read
If
the
they
minutes,
said we
because
voted, we
exactly
voted.
what I put in
No.
the minutes is exactly what I've heard, okay? So I do the minutes, and no one can tell me to edit the minutes, they're performance notes.
But I'm expressing the fact that we all are under the impression we took a vote to send a letter.
You guys discussed it, and you all agreed that you would draw a draft letter and send it to everybody by email to see if they approved it.
Okay, I'm going to disagree. We took a vote. Mike remembers taking a vote. The other 2 remember taking a vote. There's 4 of us that remember taking a vote. I believe we took a vote. So my point is that it's nice that we went down and talked to individual businesses, but here's what Hilda's looks like today and yesterday.
And she was the one, as I explained in the email, that I did not speak to her. But otherwise, I talked to everyone. Do you have any idea how much she pays in taxes?
Madam Mayor, I don't.
You
I'm
don't
not really
care.
concerned. I am more
Well, you're
concerned
you're
about.
gonna turn the business community
we-
against the village board
I think-
as opposed to working with them.
Okay, but then how can we go after the people on the end of Union Street and tell them they have to get off our property? Because that
Well,
would
then
be
why don't you
selective
go and
enforcement.
speak with them? You know,
We
you wanna
tried-
write letters.
We
No,
tried
you
to-
have not
We tried
tried.
to on Saturday. We tried to speak with them, and that meeting was canceled.
No, we tried to speak with Van Reenens, which has nothing to do with this particular
Mayor, we
one.
have to, we went through this
All
with the
right.
letter writing campaign before. We have to set the standard with the village merchants that it's not anything goes. I walked through the village of Alexandria Bay yesterday, and there is not one thing out of line there because they enforce it. And I'm not happy with the fact that it's.
That I
Katie Garbage
hijacked
or
the
that
letter.
That Katie that anything goes in the downtown area. Clayton, if one sees it, they all see it. Here's a merchant here that told me that the other day. If one sees it, then I'm okay to do it. It's
So
okay.
besides the clothing store, what else was a breakfast?
Well, now the Eagle Shop across the street has their clothing
And
racks
she
out
has
there.
them up against the wall, like we had suggested. But if that's what you all want to do, you can send the letter. My name will not be on it. Because these individuals, as I have expressed before, pay very high taxes. They paid $12,000 to $15,000 to have the lines buried, and they didn't want to pay it. They were out inconvenienced for 2 years with all of this. They have 10 weeks to make their business. And if we want to be the hijackers of it all, then
I just
so
don't
be it.
think the merchants should be able to move their business out onto the sidewalk on village property. It is against state law to allow for-profit businesses to use village property.
Okay, fine, send the letter. Write the letter tomorrow, but you know what? They were
No, it's a
taking,
board, it's a board. It's not just one person.
they're also saying, I mean, we had water bills, we had taxes, we had more important
Mayor,
things to
you made your
do.
point clear in the subsequent emails that you don't like this. We got it, but the
But I
vote-
don't, then
but
why
the
do you
board-
keep bringing it back? Because you're the
board
board.
voted that we're going to do this. We all have an equal vote here.
Okay, then do it. But bring up, I'd like you to have the discussion that you found out about, Joanne.
Okay, well, speak up.
I think we're going a little too deep into the weeds on this. I do understand. I feel we're going a little too deep into the weeds on this. I do understand policies and things in play and trying to get everybody to run along with the same policies as one another, but it doesn't seem that, I mean, I understand keeping them off the sidewalks, so we allow them the ability to put them on the pavers, which is still village right of way, so that's a state law too, isn't it, to keep it off of this village right
And
of
we
way?
agree to that.
Yes.
And that's what that letter says, the final version, which you all got a copy of. That's what it says. You can put your sign there. It doesn't say that you can load the sidewalk up with racks of clothing, boxes of shoes, and everything else that you can't sell in the store in order to make people walk around it. Put umbrellas over it so that it clogs the sidewalk with people trying to get around while others are
I
shopping.
hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. But I don't feel we have to be nonsense about it.
I don't either.
We need
My
to go
point
talk to
is,
them.
if you don't set the standard, this is the standard, this is the state law, this is the village's liability. It's wonderful that people want to enjoy their coffee in front of Lyric on the village property, but there is liability involved. Are they going to sign an agreement that they're going to hold us harmless? Probably not.
No.
Well, what about liability if they go and sit at Frank Park or Centennial Park and take their coffee and lunch down there? That's completely different.
That is different.
And why? I don't know. You need
Because
to
that's
educate
open
me.
to the public. That's open to the public. If we make it known that it is a public park, it's open to the public. Well, I feel the sidewalks are as well.
Correct, and so we can't, I don't believe that we can cause people in wheelchairs and baby carrots to have to make their way through a maze of racks of clothes and signs out in the middle of the sidewalk and chairs out in front of the Telios and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we should force them to do that.
Well, I feel that we can still have, it sounds like it's one or two offenders.
No, take a walk downtown, there's more than that.
Yeah, it's actually, I actually walked down.
All right,
this
well, why
weekend.
don't you guys write the letter, address the envelope, put the
Well, what I
stamps on,
think,
and
what I
take
think
care
we
of it.
should do is I think we should.
I've asked to do this next spring.
Right, but let's,
And it's like, no, we gotta do it now since we
Well,
only have 8 weeks of business
but we
left.
did vote on it.
All right,
That's all
fine.
I'm
Okay,
saying.
so
But
tonight-
maybe if we didn't, then maybe we should now. I mean, maybe we need to
So
re-vote.
this is how it goes, okay? You guys talked about this letter in the last meeting. Whether you voted on it or not, it's a FOIL. It's a document that's gonna become a FOIL, anybody from the public can FOIL. So that letter that Miguel said he would write it up, it would be a draft letter. It's then brought back to the board to vote on it, because you can't vote on something through meeting. You can't approve something through meeting. So it comes back to the board for official,
Yeah, that's what I'm
of
saying.
that
So we
letter.
can do that now, right?
you know, you have to have that letter in front of us to approve. And it wasn't even on the agenda.
You haven't, and your office has it, the final letter.
Yeah.
And all of the,
But I'm not ready with it, in this packet. If you'd like to add it to the agenda,
Yeah, I agree with that, but
Not
I
done
thought
it
it would
last
have been here because it was written, and we could always do it. I thought it would have been
It's
part
a
of it.
draft. It's a draft. You always bring something back to the board as an original, as a draft, and then you approve for that to become an original.
Right, that what we should have been doing today. I guess I'm not understanding why it wasn't on the agenda today, because that is legally
Because you
otherwise.
guys thought you voted on it, and you can't vote on a draft letter. He said he was
Well,
gonna
we
make
can
up
vote
a
to
draft.
write a letter, and then,
Okay,
again, I
so
think we're arguing
You
semantics.
voted to write the letter itself
Right,
needs
so
approval.
I guess,
So
yeah,
if
I
you were
guess.
to go in front of the New York State and ask them about this, then that's how.
No, I think the question is,
system
why
works.
is the letter here as part of this agenda? I guess.
Because I wasn't, it
Okay.
wasn't,
Well, okay.
Actually, there was no particular reason. It
Amanda,
wasn't.
Amanda has the letter. You
Yes,
sent
we
final
have
version
the
to
letter.
her.
She has it on her desk.
but
Okay,
it's a
so if you
draft
have it on your
letter,
desk,
right?
can we have a copy of it here, please?
I don't have that.
It's on Amanda's desk. That's what the mayor just said.
I'm sorry, I don't know what the letter is, and I'm not gonna go through it fast. If you guys have the letter to email, did we email it to everyone?
I did.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you have it on email.
So can we vote on it?
You can look it up and,
And then we can vote on it?
yes, I
Okay,
can
so
add
we
it to
can
the
vote.
agenda.
All right. And going back to the general point is, earlier we asked, I think one of my first meetings, you guys asked for coffee co to take the tables and chairs off, and they did. And then if I was an owner of coffee co, I would be kind of frustrated. Well, we did our part, and, we followed the.
They were
what
never
asked.
asked to take it off. They did it voluntarily.
I thought somebody
Now,
asked.
we were going to, but they
I
just did it
I
voluntarily.
talked to them about it.
Yeah.
Said this is coming up, this is what, and they're like, great.
Yeah. and
Because
so-
they also
so we
wanted.
talked to them, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so
why
I
can't
went,
we be consistent?
I had talked to the people, but Deputy McDowell says that the streets are a wreck today. And when
you
I was
haven't-
down there
Well, he didn't say
the
the
other
streets
day.
were, but I guess, see, I don't understand why a letter's such a bad thing, because then everyone gets the letter, so everybody knows about it. I think it's great we talk to the people. I think that's fantastic. That's a very good thing to do in community relations. But it doesn't mean we can't send a letter to just so because you weren't able to get a full, like you said, Bill does. So it'd be nice if everybody was aware of it. So I think we're just trying to make it fair for everybody, and everybody's on the same page. And if the village board decides they don't want to do this now, by vote, I mean, that's fine too. But no, I think it's great you talked to people. We didn't talk to everybody. That's where the
But you
letter
don't
comes
need to.
in.
I stand at the end of James Street, and I look down that road every single day. And everybody's up under the eaves,
Well, the
next to the
lyric is-
building. Fine, you go and deal with Kathy and tell
My
her to
point
take
is
it
that
down.
we gotta be consistent. It's not about a personality. It's just, I think that's Bob's point.
Exactly.
We just have
It's
to be
just to be
consistent.
consistent.
Then I'll write a letter saying
Kathy
everybody
might
can
yell
put-
at me is not a reason why I'm not gonna go talk to
But
Kathy.
she's not hurting anything. She's
there.
on our
It's-
right of way,
she's
where
on
like I
village
said,
property.
Then Coffee Co. should be able to do that.
Right, and everybody else, and Peter can take his
That's-
chairs and put them out front, and people can enjoy their pizza out in front of his place.
We
and
had-
they all do that.
When we had a discussion about that, I mean, I guess my position, I thought we had a discussion about it, and the agreement was Bob was gonna write a letter,
Yeah.
we're all gonna look at the letter,
Yeah.
and now we can approve the letter, right?
Right.
And this-
All right, so approve or disapprove the letter.
Right, so.
I mean, I'd be curious what everyone else thinks, since we're at it. Bob?
Well, I feel that you get more peace with honey than you do with vinegar. There's no reason to go down there and just start writing more letters off to people. I think you can talk to them on individual basis, and I feel they're pretty understanding. From what I've seen the last couple of days, it sounds like there's one or two still straggling out there that aren't complying. It might need further persuasion. But is it fair to send a letter out to everybody, the ones that aren't doing anything wrong,
They're gonna throw it
give
out.
them the letter?
They're gonna throw it out.
They're
This
all
is a
gonna
waste.
throw
So I
it
feel
out.
it's a When we first discussed this letter, back in January and March, or January and February, I talked with
which I thought we were sending a letter back then. I talked in my role with the chamber that a letter like this was coming, and their answer was, great, that's great, it should be done. All it does is set a standard to everyone, and it treats everyone fairly and equally.
I understand what you're saying. One of my reasons for wanting to get on this board were to get involved in things that help the village taxpayers with what they get for their taxes. And I feel we keep going down the wormhole on all these little nitbit things that don't do anything for the village taxpayer. They just create more legal fees, survey fees that the village taxpayers get to pay. And these things I feel are unnecessary to dig this deep into them, where a conversation can be taken to begin. That's my thoughts.
Mr. Riddock?
Wait, who's running this meeting, Deputy?
I'm just asking Mr. Riddock for his
Mr.
opinion.
Riddock, what would you like to
Okay,
say?
thank you.
I want to turn all of this around and have us get back to some work here. And I want a more open and friendly relationship to exist between 5 of us, 6 of us. And that needs to happen quickly.
And the residents and the businesses of the village.
I understand setting the standard and getting that letter out to everyone so that everyone hears the same message from us. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm hesitant to, muddy the waters with a bunch of people that don't have very much time to make their business happen. So I'm conflicted.
Well, I actually think everyone is conflicted because Deputy McDowell is correct that there should be the standard for everyone. And like I said, which I know I've said it in my numerous emails, as you've said it in your numerous meetings here, I have spoken to people and everybody understood. But you still want to send the letter to enforce it, and I think that this is what people are going to do with the letter. You wasted the clerk's time, you wasted stamps and envelopes. Let's do it in March of next year, at the beginning of the season. Please. So who wants to make a motion to accept this letter? You just, pardon?
Make a motion to vote on it.
Yeah. Who's making the motion?
Do we have to read it aloud in order to get it there in the record? Sorry. Yeah.
1 second, I'll send it to you right now.
We've all read it. And you asked for,
She said we didn't have it.
we all had it. You sent it to us a couple of weeks ago, and you specifically addressed 2 trustees, would you please give your thoughts, and they didn't. And you sent it out the next day.
No, I guess.
So you gave it, but there's 4 of you.
No, I know, but I thought you just said that you didn't.
No, 2 of them didn't, and the letter went out.
Got it.
So everyone has the letter. Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make the
on-
motion that the letter gets sent.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You make the time.
Okay, great.
And the next time that we do letters, they can be a draft letter, and then that will be put onto the agenda to vote.
That's all I was trying to explain.
Right,
I
I know.
don't care whether the letter gets sent or not.
No, I understand.
I
I
was
just thought
just
that
trying to
was our.
explain the concept.
You can't just say, we're sending this letter, but have no concept
But
of
you always gotta bring
where
it
the
back to
letter
the
is.
board in the
No,
public.
I understand. Yeah, I don't think anyone's arguing.
Yep.
So would someone make a motion for 1 through 5?
I think we gotta look at this separately,
Which separately?
the draft meeting minutes and then the rest. So I'll make a motion that, I'm not gonna make a motion, I'm sorry.
So what are we doing?
I'll make that
Yes.
motion.
Wait, excuse me, wait. You said you wanted to do something differently.
I think we ought to look at these separately.
What, the minutes?
Consent agenda.
Okay, I don't understand where you're going. When you say look at it separately,
We ought to vote on them separately.
you want each one voted on separately? Okay. Could I have a motion for the draft minutes?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Me, two.
Okay, just so you all know, minutes do not need to be approved by the board, or these minutes. And if the board, any of the board does not approve, then they go on as draft minutes. So they don't get edited, nothing gets done to them, they just go on the website as draft minutes.
Thank you.
And also, if you don't like something in the minutes, we approve the minutes with these changes, not just don't approve the minutes. Because then we're gonna get hassled by the public wants to see the minutes.
Yeah, they'll go on as draft minutes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes with an amendment to change the section about the letter.
You can't because it wasn't said.
Okay, then it's not going to hold my no on the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, number one passes, I vote for the minutes.
I'll make the motion that we pass 2 through 5.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Now, I've thought about it, realized the other day when we held up that check until the next, until 2 weeks from now, for the auditor, he doesn't know that. The only people that know that would be his accounting, and they're not gonna come to him and say, how come they didn't pay? So it's gonna be sent out in 2 weeks. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had some direct bearing on the individual, that's one thing, but their accounting people are gonna say, hey, we didn't get them, we never got that money, bill them again. It's not, explain to me why it would make a difference. I can understand if it's a single person, but as a corporation.
So we're going to agree to send the check then, even though he hasn't finished the work?
I don't see what the point is of not sending it, because who are you gonna speak to? You're gonna, no, he doesn't know it wasn't sent.
As to, yeah, there's an agreement that you guys approved, and that would be, I'm not sure, but I thought I heard Randy saying something about getting that in there. Certain parts of the audit was done in the day, so I'm not sure.
Well, we will look into that and present that at the next meeting. Because whether we pay or we don't pay,
Okay, so we're going to
he's
just...
still going to,
Right, just to clarify, so we're not going to pay this until you look into it, right? Is that
Well, we
what we're
haven't
saying?
paid it, it's
Right.
not
No, but
gonna
I'm
be paid for
saying-
another 2 weeks. You guys held it for 30 days as a group.
But who's just, so that's what we're deciding in the board, that we're going to pay it
You
now.
did last week.
Right.
Yes, we do.
I thought we decided we're going to wait and see what the situation was.
She told us last night she wasn't getting any responses from this auditor. Very few responses from this auditor, rather, so we said, well, let's hold the payment until we find out where we stand, when we're going to see the audit. This audit was promised to us in February. This is now July. I guess we haven't seen it yet, right?
but she did forward on I did forward on the thread of emails that he has responded. He hasn't responded the way that we want him to respond, but he has been responding to the treasurer. It's not like he hasn't completely voided us. But
Yeah.
again, he's not gonna know if we paid it or we didn't pay it.
No, I understand, but I just to be clear, so what you're saying is the last meeting, we voted to hold it for 2 weeks? I thought we
For a
voted
month.
to 30 days? I thought we voted to wait, and find out what the deal was. Look at it
Unless
again.
you guys heard from them about what they have accomplished. You held it
And-
for 30 days.
okay, have we heard that?
unless you heard.
Yes, you got a thread of emails the next day after our meeting that I forwarded on you. Didn't forward to you?
I don't, maybe, I don't remember. Okay,
Well,
so
if it
we
didn't
voted
happen-
a 30-day thing then.
That's my apologies,
Yeah, no,
because
I
I
just-
forwarded it on.
I just thought, I don't remember this 30 days, but if that's what everybody else remembers, that's fine. Okay, thanks.
More or less to see, get their attention. Try to get their attention on it.
Where are we now?
Oh, let's see, Joanne is going to talk about the conference that she went to.
Right. Mr. Mayor, push that microphone to Joanne so we're
So I went to the conference for the night Algro. Is that how you pronounce it? I learned some interesting things, and I was just talking to Mr. Kinney about this, that no matter how long you've been doing this, when you go to one of these conferences, you always learn something that you're like, oh, I never knew that. So I just wanted to go over a few things with you. On the executive sessions, you make a motion to go into the executive sessions, which you do, and state the reason. And the reasons are listed on this sheet here. They're all the reasons that you guys pretty much know, except the fact that, what one is it? Okay, so we don't use the word personnel. I didn't know that, because I, always put executive session personnel. You can't use that word. I guess that's a big no-no. But what you do say is, the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. So, and then on notices, when we give notices for our meetings or special meetings or anything, all you have to give is the date, time, location. You do not have to purchase a legal notice in the paper. You have to let the paper know by email or, just that you're holding a special meeting at what time and the place. But you do not have to purchase a legal notice. And placed in a designated physical location, which is our board, and on our website. I didn't know that either, so that's why the courts have suggested that the propriety of scheduling a meeting less than a week in advance and providing less than 72-hour notice is dependent upon the actual need to do so. She said that the courts are really cracking down on this rule that emergency meetings are just not good, because 72 hours they feel is plenty enough time, and that's what they're supposed to give. But an emergency meeting, depending on what it is, if someone was to, call someone and say, look, the village of Clayton, they're having all these emergency meetings, and then you guys state why you are, they would look at the reason and, go by that. But they don't give you a specific reason, but they would look at why you're having so many emergency meetings. So that's that.
Tell them the one about possible litigation.
Oh,
For pending or possible,
Oh,
not
yes.
pending.
For executive sessions, the discussion, in one of them is the discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation. So the pending is confusing because pending, it means pending like it's already in litigation, but it's pending, but it is in litigation. But you can't just say you're having, so the executive session you guys had last meeting, you should have had in the public because it's not under litigation. So talking about Union Street, it's not in litigation, so you have to talk about that publicly.
But if a party is threatening to sue the village, that would be pending.
No threats or anything. It's got to be like in litigation, but pending. So even if they're threatening or they're saying, well, this could possibly be, I'm going to sue you over this or anything like that, it's no reason to go into executive session. So I just wanted to mention those things because I just thought that, there was actually confusion on my part too. So I just wanted to mention it to you.
So
and,
Joanne, I'm still a little confused about the personnel part. Can you explain that one more time?
You just can't use the word personnel.
We're going to the executive session for what? What do we say?
That's the whole thing that I read, number F.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to share that with us?
I can
Okay.
email that to you.
Yeah,
That's all I
New York-
have.
New York State has it on the website.
Yeah.
A couple of other things I want to discuss before we get into the TAC, the Thousand Islands Art. I received a letter on June 28th from the lawyer talking about the Article 78, and I spoke to him today in reference to this briefly, and it will be decided sometime in this month. He's expecting it more towards the end of the month. There's the letter for everyone to read. Let's see, 2 weeks ago, the Corvette Club from Canada came. There were about 95 people. Well, it was well over 95 because there were 95 rooms. About 95 Corvettes within the community. They had never been here before, and they loved it. They were very, very proud and impressed with our community. I said, wow, please come back again. I received a letter, not even a letter, a brief email from the town in reference to zoning, and they are creating a document that will be looked at by their lawyer, hopefully passed at their next meeting, which would be, is it Wednesday, I believe? Not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday. Once that is taken care of, it'll come into our hands.
In what respect regarding
How it's all going to be handled and what Richard will and will not do for us. It was a very vague email, I thought, response. And then we will eventually redo our IMA, because that's, the lawyer said was very weak and it needs a lot of work with it. We had a great 4th of July. We had rain on the fireworks, but people still came out and they were good. I was downtown on that Saturday, the 5th, and the amount of boats out on the docks were tremendous. What I found really nice is people were docking at the cement dock, even though they didn't have any way to get across, but they had people coming to pick them up. So we know that's going to be highly used when that happens. There was a bill passed by New York State about Airbnbs and the sales tax. I'm trying to find out more information about that. When I spoke to Scott Gray, he thought that that money would come to the entity. And I'm having Amanda's looking into that for us, because He wasn't 100%, but he thought it would come back to the village, not go to the county. So we'll find that out. And Union Street meeting got canceled 2 weeks ago, and sometime in the very near future, Trustee Wiersma and I will be meeting with the Van Riedens to get all this settled, and we will move forward. Once this is settled, we're done with Union Street. We're not going to keep going on it. So everyone...
I'm sorry, but you guys can't settle it. The whole board will have to vote on it, right?
Yep, we
Yeah.
will have the conversation, we will come up with the agreement, bring it back to the board, and the board will vote on it. You all received an email, I believe, the other day. And Mike, did you get the one we forwarded on to you?
What is the email about?
Thousand Islands Museum came from Jonathan Taylor. I forwarded it to you, or Joanne did today.
Oh, after we talked?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you found that thread one?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nancy, before we start,
Yes.
I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion and go out and sit in the public because I'm married to the interim director of the Thousand Islands Art Center
Thank you.
since 2000.
Happy anniversary.
So what they are asking us for is parking spots, closing down the street, the sidewalk on that entire block, and yeah, I think that's it. So your comments, suggestions, and according to, we will need the parking spaces and sidewalk closure for the duration of the project. Our intention is that the project would be completed in August or September of 2025. So they're asking for 4 spots to be taken away, along with close down the entire, that block because of that. They also want to propose working hours of 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. I would propose working hours 7 to 3 because there are people who live in that area.
Yeah, I think 7 makes sense. I agree with 7.
I do not agree with the parking spaces. We don't have enough parking spaces to begin with, and I do not agree with the closure of an entire block to satisfy them. As it was stated to me earlier, they can play in their own yard, not in our yard. We have to be cautious or cognizant of our people, our residents, and our tourists, and anyone else who's in the community, including people with any types of disabilities, and closing down the entire block of the sidewalk, I think is asking of too much. They can put up some fencing and guards, and Carol put a sign, don't come onto our property, but they don't need to be onto our property. As far as the staging, they could use Lions Field, and somebody also had sent to you their property. If we do this for them, you know what's going to happen. You're going to have Kellogg wanting us to do it. You're going to have the Boat Museum when they do it. It's just going to become rampant. It is not our problem how they built. It is our problem about this building, but it is not ours to say, oh yes, let us do this, this, and this, because you're affecting the entire community. So that's my suggestion.
I wasn't here when the Deprenzio's, I'm going to call it Deprenzio's building because I don't know what else to call it. But how did they deal? Because that was a huge construction.
I don't remember how they did that one.
Yeah.
Also, when we did this entire project downtown, we didn't close off streets.
Yeah.
We didn't close off sidewalks. If you had somewhere that people needed to walk, put the mats down for them.
So usually
When you close the sidewalk, you've got to close it to use a cross.
Right. Usually in an urban construction situation, they'll have like the sidewalk won't be closed, it would just kind of go out and around and back in? Is that a possibility? In other words, like taking those two spaces, like maybe we can compromise with just two spaces and have the sidewalk go out and around those two spaces?
No, I would not agree to that. I don't agree to that because why are you giving up 2 parking spaces to them? Would you give me 2 parking spaces? My patient had to park down by the wood boat today and walk up to my office.
My hopes are they can make provisions with the property
Yes.
on John Street.
Yes.
We've got a substantial parking lot there.
Yeah, that's true,
It's,
too.
I mean, it's not a massive parking lot by any means, but they could make provisions there and use, I'm not sure the lay of the land with the buildings behind it, but give themselves some access between the pottery building and the adjoining lot next to that. I know there's some shrubbery and stuff there, but help give themselves some access over there. I do understand they're gonna need to be on James Street with some equipment, there's no doubt. Somehow they're gonna need to
And
be up there.
the other situation that is, when we do any project here in the village, there's numerous pre-construction meetings. And I've been asking them for months to send us this information, and he sends it out July 5th and wants to start on the 22nd. Excuse me, this is our village, and we have to protect everybody, not just the museum.
Okay, so, if I may, this is not the first time that we've gotten information like this late in the game. And so I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight myself.
That's fine.
So I'm going to abstain if there is a vote. But I would say also that we were told that the boat museum parking lot was available to them as well. So why can't they stage it in the boat museum parking lot instead of taking street parking?
Across just behind the bank.
Yeah, so it's 30 feet further they have to travel and walk through the parking lot with their equipment and stuff. So I mean, they don't really need to park on the street, do they?
They would have to get that, even though I understand what you're saying, that the boat museum said, you're welcome to use our parking lot. Even though I did not see the letter, I would find it hard to believe that, sure, keep your equipment here all year. You've got snowplows, you've got parking lots to be cleared, you leave equipment on the street, you all are aware of our winters are like, you live it. And then they're gonna take up all their equipment. I mean, if that's what the boat museum wants to do, that's up to them. But they're gonna tremendous amount. Oh, and don't worry, they all have to be out like boat show.
Well, I agree with Bob as far as, I don't think we can make a decision, because I'd like to sit down and talk to them too, you know, like.
Well, I think that we should table it,
Yeah.
and that there should be a discussion with the boards, they can come and talk to them.
Well, do we want to, well, just like you guys are doing with the Union Street, do you want to have a couple of us, you know, have us sit down, talk with them? Again, trying to be consistent.
I think they should just come to the board and talk to us. They've only come to the board once or twice at the next meeting. Right, but they can come at the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if
But
you
I
want
guess-
to, then McDowell and I'll go and talk.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
them.
I
If
guess
that's
my
how
point
you
is
want to
if-
handle it, that's
Well, my point is if you're going to do that with this other business, then, you know, shouldn't we do it with these guys too? I mean, let's be consistent, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if it's you two, and it doesn't matter.
But you
who
don't,
it is.
I'm not slighting you,
Yeah.
Might be, no, I don't mind.
but
No,
you
it doesn't
were,
have to be me. I mean.
no,
I'm
no,
not-
you weren't part of the whole conversation. The
Right.
only person here has been trusted.
But I'm part of the
McDowell
conversation
and
now,
Thurston
and I'm just asking.
That is correct.
If we could, you know, it would make sense to, first of all, I agree with pretty much everybody that we can't say, yes, go ahead, you gave us a week's notice, that's all we need, that's, you know, that's not enough time. I think we need to look into it. It would make sense to try to sit down and see, and it does seem odd that they would need it the entire time for basically 2 years too. Like, maybe we can work something out, again, like you're trying to work out with the one side of Union Street. You know, let's sit down, if we're gonna sit down with people, let's sit down with these guys too, and try to work something out. And it doesn't have to be me, I'm just, you know, whatever. I mean, I'll do it, but
I agree with that. That's how I like to communicate. I'd rather be talking to somebody and get that conversation.
yeah.
The Union Street, I'm trying to avoid down the road some legal fees that could come to the village. So I thought maybe get rid of a lot of the problems that are there with some conversations.
Yeah, no,
All
I
right,
think
so I'll
conversation's
send out
great.
an email to Jonathan and the TAC board and see what is a good time for
Great.
Any board reports?
Oh, sorry, did we need to do any sort of vote there, or was that good? Rob's going back. I didn't know. Do we need to vote to postpone it
No.
officially or anything? Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't a vote for tonight anyway. Just discussions.
Any other comments?
I had one. We talked earlier, about a month ago, about the traffic study meeting this summer. And I was wondering if that's been scheduled.
No, it hasn't, and what I'd like to do, and I had said it before, I will get in touch with Kevin,
Okay.
and then we will try to do something on a Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning.
Yep.
He's here on Tuesdays, and talk to him. He and I have talked about it, he gave me his thoughts, but I really want him to talk with the board about it and give me their thoughts. And then I thought if we do have that for the public, which we had spoken about, we could do it sometime in August, which is the next month. I was thinking doing it on a Saturday, because it does at that time allow
Right.
anyone who wants to come. We wouldn't have to fit it in between work schedules.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
It does. Yep.
We asked somebody asked last time we got together for a meeting with the board and our attorney for an update on a number of things that they know us. We didn't arrange that.
No, it hasn't been arranged.
It's going to be arranged shortly, so we can find out like what's going on in Lions Field and what other things.
We have Lions Field, what else is there?
Camera policy, Lions Field. Those are the ones that are dragging on for long.
I know the abstract's sitting on his desk, so that's just a matter of writing up the letter. So, yes. Anyone from the public have something to say? You, come up to the board, 3 minutes, please. 3 minutes.
30 seconds. I was out here on the 4th of July waiting for a friend, and I sat out in front here, and we got that parking lot right there. On the side has 2 signs that say no parking from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. So everybody that came looking for a parking spot for the fireworks, they would pull in, and then they would pull out. And I was telling them, go ahead and park. So the 3 village spaces that were sitting empty, you know, I said, I think it's okay if you want to park there. So I don't know, if maybe during the special events, you put a cover over the sign and let people park there. So it was just an observation.
Well, since Trustee McKinney brought this up, we will have another sign made that says no parking from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
So people
But
come
during
to
all of
events.
these events, the police are not out writing tickets.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I'm Rachel Stevenson.
You have to speak up, man, I'm
Speak
sorry.
up, Andrew.
I'm Rachel Stevenson. I'd just like to thank Mayor Hyde for the sentiments you expressed with regard to.
Can you speak up, please? I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, just angle that mic up.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah? Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Major Stevenson. I'd like to thank Mayor Hyde for the expressions that she made just now about the equality for everybody with regard to the Thousand Islands Arts Centre and what they can and cannot do with the village streets and the village parking spaces and everything that is for the citizens of Clayton. I share her sentiments of what she was saying about how they shouldn't be able, the Thousand Islands Arts Centre project people shouldn't be able to make free with the village sidewalk, the village parking spaces and all the rest of it. I wasn't clear, Mayor, when you were saying they had asked for the block to be closed off. Did they literally mean?
Well, I didn't mean the block, I meant a block going from this end to that end, so I considered that
So the
block.
side, the James Street side, not.
Because you have to have a crossing path for people, and you can't, even though they all jaywalk, you can't do that. So you would have to have them crossing wherever the crosswalk is.
Okay. My other point, which I hope I'll make quickly, is that I came down here on a Saturday morning, spoke with Trustee Kinney about the need for a Saturday morning meeting with regard to Union Street dead end, and a meeting that had been specially arranged for Mr. Van Reenen, and I was unclear as to why he should have preference over other citizens when they're wanting to do things and they have to apply by 5 p.m. on a Wednesday to the clerk to be able to be put on the agenda of a regular meeting. So I didn't understand why it was that he was able to request a Saturday morning meeting, especially.
He did not request a Saturday morning meeting. Well, he did request it because he couldn't come on Friday or Saturday or any day during the week. It was the one time that the entire board and staff get together. It was a meeting just to speak to them. It was not a meeting for everyone to show up, and 3/4 of the people had no idea why they were there. And I asked that the next time you do something like that, that you contact board members or the clerk or myself to find out what's going on, because there was a lot of information put on that flyer that got put onto Facebook. And a lot of that was just not true. And we're not trying to hide anything, but we do have the right to speak to people.
I would say that a lot of people are busy Monday to Friday, and a lot of people can't make meetings Monday to Friday. But if you really want to have a discussion with the Village Board of Trustees, you should make yourself available to the Village Board of Trustees in time for their Monday morning meeting, their Monday evening meeting, so that they come to you and you don't bend over backwards for them, because it's not fair for everybody else. Everybody works busy. So that's just my thought.
Thank you for your comment. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple things. And I apologize, I don't even know who told me this, but someone said that the Barton Point water plant lease is coming due, so did you guys know that? If we don't know that, we should look in and see if that's the case.
We took care of that in June.
Oh, great, okay. We talked about the 10 p.m. from 8 p.m. park thing. So, as I understand it, on the planning board's agenda, there is the Kellogg property, which is on the other side of Union Street, is looking to do some townhouses, and I'm wondering if we should discuss, because of the, use dispute, boundary dispute, whatever you want to call it, asking the planning board to at least let the planning board know about it, so that they're aware of it, or
Know about what?
that there's a boundary dispute and use dispute with the marina on that side.
Well, there is, according to the village board, there is no boundary or use dispute. The only use dispute, and you correct me, please, is at the end of Union Street.
Right.
What's happening over there, the village is not getting involved.
So aren't they the other
we're
side?
not.
Aren't they the other side
No,
of the end of
no.
Union Street?
No,
They're not?
no, the
Okay.
end of Union Street is ours. This property over here is Van Reenen, and this property over here is Kellogg.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we're not in dispute. Kellogg isn't encroaching on our properties. No, I am not following.
So I think what he's talking about is the fact that the drawings are showing that the driveways that empty out on Union Street may conflict with the village property. But I don't know
Oh, that
that,
may
'cause
be,
that's
sure, but
not-
that's
That's not,
That's not very clear in their
Shut
drawing.
those off?
No.
Stop using them?
No,
No,
that,
on the proposed townhouse.
right.
Oh, okay.
And now I
Proposed
understand that they're wanting to put in single-family homes and some proposals. So I wouldn't go down that rabbit hole right now. I would.
Well, I'm not saying it's a rabbit hole, I'm just saying, should we, if the planning board doesn't know it, I mean, should we let them know?
But right now, when everyone goes on Thursday, you're gonna see all new plans.
Okay.
It's-
So there's new
it's
plans.
what-
All right,
Yeah,
all right, moving on.
and they're not gonna,
A point of clarification, is that a house boat on?
we're not discussing that
Oh, we're
now,
not
thank you.
discussing.
Nothing's going
Oh,
to, nothing's going to be.
No, but actually the house, thank you, I forgot about that. Yeah, the houseboat is on the Kellogg side, which is
Correct.
part of the potential dispute with the end of Union Street. And who owns that
I thought the
water?
houseboat was on village property.
No, it is not,
No.
no.
It had been surveyed off, and it turns out.
Well, the survey was just for the land, right? Yeah. Anyways, okay, so the next question I had was, are we going to do anything about the removal of the survey stakes? You know, the survey stakes we're talking about, they got removed. Are we going to do anything to enforce that?
We'll send a letter.
That's part of the discussion.
That's part of the discussion on
That's all part
Friday.
of the discussion, yeah.
I mean, I did ask with the lawyer that blah, 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 not about mistakes, but, you know, if we ask people to move things, such as the trailer down here and other spots, we've asked people throughout. And I said, so can we impose a fine? And he said, now you get into civil litigation.
Well, moving a survey stake is its own separate, like that, and, okay.
I just, I follow you and I
You
have
can move the
to
survey
agree
stakes.
with you.
You took out the markers that were showing where they were.
Oh,
The
okay.
stakes are still in the ground.
Oh, okay.
You just took out the
Yeah, yeah.
markers that showed where they were.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, do we know who owns, because when I was talking to the residents at the meeting we didn't have, a lot of people said, you know, people used to swim there at the end of Union Street, and they used to launch canoes and boats and stuff like that. So who owns the water right there? Do we know that? And
No, and we were told by Sly, Bob Sly, and none of you were there. He said riparian rights is very challenging and difficult to figure out. And that's what he told us. I'm not really arguing with you.
Right, well,
No, I'm not arguing.
yeah, so Saginaw Harbor, Village Saginaw Harbor versus Saginaw Harbor Leasing Company, that was a huge thing, and the marina was doing something exactly the same as what's happening down here, and they were encroaching on the water, which is owned by the state and the village. So I think it's something we should at least look into, that's all I'm saying. And it doesn't have to be a look into by our village attorney, who probably doesn't know a lot about it, but you know, we can call the Department of, the Corps of Engineers and Department of State, and they might have, it's because there's case law on that, so. I don't know if you guys want to do that or not.
That was years ago.
That's all I have, so if no one's interested, that's it.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.